Hi, I'm Ines Simpson, and I've been making some videos about I love hypnosis, why should you care? So they've been here on Facebook and YouTube. So I thought I'd add something in now. I thought I was going to start talking about what elements of hypnosis. And I'd like to talk to you about one of the most essential things we do in hypnosis. And I'd like you to sort of think about that. Mostly you'll probably think about, oh, what kind of induction you use, or, what kind of tools will I get out of my toolbox? And it's a one that's going to be needed on no matter what you're doing, just about. It's always essential. It's what we're working towards most of the time. So, if we're stopping smoking or something like that, it's probably not in there. But I'm talking about the deep work where people have major issues that need to be addressed. So, what do you think it would be? One big thing that we're always wanting to get to is forgiveness. And if you've not heard of this, you may have a lot of misconceptions about what forgiveness is. Now, most people, when they say, couldn't forgive that guy, or couldn't forgive that woman, or I couldn't ever do that, they were so horrible to me. But you got to understand that forgiveness is not about them. Forgiveness is about you. It's always about you. So I had a great mentor, Jerry Kine, who actually got me on the road to hypnosis and where I was going. And he always used to explain forgiveness very well and very simply. And one thing was that if you did something wrong in society and you were punished to go that, you went to jail and you got out. And you got out of prison. But when we are not doing forgiveness of others doing whatever those feelings, everything that we have are essentially running our life. So they're still running our life, and we never get out of that prison till we allow forgiveness and we set ourselves free. It's nothing to do with them. They probably don't even know we did it. So it's not about them. It's always about you. So we're not saying condoning what behavior that was perceived or done. So it doesn't even matter if he really did or she really did. It doesn't matter. We still carry all those feelings of resentment and anger and hate sometimes. Really, all kinds of negative emotions. Negative emotions that are affecting you on every level of your being. Okay, so all those negative emotions are putting out in your bloodstream all the cortisol, all the negative things that you don't want. And it develops sometimes into all kinds of negative, maybe an illness, maybe just not feeling good about yourself, anything. So what is it that's happening when we're doing forgiveness work in hypnosis is that we are setting you free. And like I say, it has nothing to do with the other person. It wouldn't even matter if it wasn't the reality, because it's your perception. If, let's say you went to a party and somebody said something, you took it the wrong way. That can go around in your head for quite a while. And major things, that's just a slight example to show you how that works. And it makes you feel bad. So that is always going on in your mind. So how do we deal with that? So like I said, we don't condone behavior. It doesn't say that you have to go and be best buds with this person. In fact, you don't ever even have to speak to this person again if you didn't want to. It's totally up to you. Total freedom. You are setting yourself free. So as hypnotists, we help the client to set themselves free because it's always about them. You may be thinking as you're listening here, why do I need a hypnotist for that? Because I'll tell you, if you're doing it in your conscious mind cannot address it on all levels. Your mind, we all have different parts of us. The parts of us that get angry, the parts that is holding this grudge, or the part that it wants to move forward and help people. All those parts have to all be on one page to move forward to allow full forgiveness. And if you say, well, I forgive somebody, and it's just words without any feeling, without anything else, when it's not done from deep inside, it doesn't work. So many times, actually, even when I've been doing work with other people, for myself, especially at the beginning of my career, I'd say, well, I think I dealt with that. And for example, I was raped at 14, and I thought I'd dealt with that. And I've heard that from clients time and time and time again. So after I became a hypnotist, I decided I better go work on that and get that cleared. And I did it with another hypnotist. And what goes in my mind as soon as that comes up, I'll say, wow, I thought I dealt with that. So yes, you think you have dealt with it on a conscious level. There's lots more down there below. Remember, the 10% of your conscious is about 10% of your being. So lots more stored in there. Some people may not agree with this statement, that all forgiveness is self-hypnosis, self-forgiveness. And the reason they say that is because it's only affecting you. You are clearing yourself. You're setting yourself free. So the forgiveness is letting go of all your resentments and everything against these other people. You're no longer carrying them. Your baggage is being released. So in that way, it becomes self-hypnosis. Self-forgiveness. I'm stuck on self-hypnosis. Mind you, go to my free self-hypnosis site and use that. But ultimately, even if you're doing it by ritual, consciously and all that, you're not going to totally get all, I'm not going to say never. Somebody may be able to do that. And actually, there's a couple of stories of people who have forgiven major, major things. But how deeply was it done? How I know they made their own life better. And people don't understand because they have a misconception about what forgiveness is. They really, in general, when you forgive people in a religious sense, a lot of people believe that they are just making themselves a doormat. They're going to go back, and because I say I forgive you, the other person is just going to keep doing it. Well, for one thing, like I already said, it's not about condoning their behavior or even liking them or hanging out with them or anything. You still have total choice. It sets you free to do anything you want. So let's put that all together. Self-hypnosis, self-forgiveness, self-hypnosis. All these things tie in together. Because in self-hypnosis, if you didn't have a lot of things built up already, like I'm going to talk a little bit about people who have fibromyalgia, but if they did that every day, they'd be clearing the slates. And that you could do by putting yourself in a self-hypnotic state and just doing that. But when it becomes huge, like people who have fibromyalgia, which I was labeled with at one time, is that they say, I have to do everything for everyone because we have an Achilles heel of what we need to be loved. We also have that we need to do everything for everyone. And so we do that, and then finally we get resentful a little bit because, gee, I do this so much for these people. I do so much for my family. I do so much for this. And after a while, we get resentful because we feel like no one does anything for us. But we're always doing everything, so how could they do anything for us? But this goes around in circles, right? But ultimately, that starts to say to your body starts to say, well, I got to slow this person down. It's killing me doing all this stuff. I'm working all the time and never stops. So they start to let your knees hurt first or something. And then suddenly you just keep driving through it because that was our nature. I just kept driving through it. And after a while, I had more hips. I had so much pain in my body that I had chronic pain even since I was about 14, which might have tied in with the other incident, but all those things. So understand that fibromyalgia is you carrying your pain, your rejection, your resentment, everything else, and keep driving still to do everything for everyone. So once you can slow down and back off and down and look at it and start to change, your body will start to get better because it doesn't need to slow you down because you are now taking ownership of saying no. So that's just an example. So just to explain, when you're doing this with a hypnotist, or you're interested in doing this for someone in hypnosis, you don't have to explain everything to them. You don't have to make them watch videos about it. Because their mind will get all their parts on the same page. If you have a good hypnotist, they'll get the parts all on the same page and drive you right all the way to allowing that forgiveness to happen and setting you free. So, just to tie this all together, I watched the movie Heal on Netflix the other day, and there was a really good part in it that I really liked, and there was a little bit of things that I didn't like, but most of the thing was very interesting. So, Michael Bernard Beckwith, and was the author and founder of Agape International Spiritual Center, had this to say about forgiveness. And I'm going to read it to you because I can't say it all glibly exactly quoted by him. But I think if you really want to go and watch that movie and listen to him, you'll get more out of it than me just reading it. So, he says, I always say all forgiveness is self-forgiveness, because the resentment I may hold, or unforgiveness, the rancor, all those thoughts are right within me. I still have all those thoughts happening within me. So those thoughts are actually going on all the time. Even if someone did me wrong, I still have those thoughts. It's me that has those thoughts. Those thoughts are affecting me. They're affecting my body temple. They're affecting my blood chemistry. They're affecting everything. So when I begin to forgive this so-called other person, I am releasing rancor, resentment, animosity. Could be hate, anything else. I'm just adding a couple of things. I'm releasing all that unforgiveness so that I can actually forgive myself. So as I'm actually forgiving myself, I'm releasing all that stuff. Now, that doesn't necessarily let them off the hook for what they did or didn't do, should have done or didn't do or should do, and that has nothing to do with me. So it has nothing to do with the other person. Doesn't matter, the guy that raped me at 14, he's off. God knows where he is. I'm 65 now. I mean, and I could have been dragging that stuff all around with me. So when the person takes you through forgiveness, it releases you. Thanks for listening.